Would you all stand for the pledge? Mr. Wiggin, would you lead us in the pledge, please? Mr. Wiggin, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Marty Davis.
Present.
Frederick McCoy.
Here.
Shep Bruce. Julius Wiggin.
Mr. Wiggin.
Here.
Renee James. Edward Kennedy.
Here.
Mr. President.
Thank you. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Good afternoon, Jeff Gagnon, Planning and Zoning Administrator. We have no additions or deletions to tonight's agenda.
Thank you. You all have received your minutes? Questions? Additions? Deletions? Let me have a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I move to approve the minutes from the December meeting, please.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Presentations?
Good evening once again, Jeff Gagnon. Ms. Stubbs is unable to join us tonight, so Ms. Solomon will be legal counsel. She has done multiple P&Z boards in the past, so she's definitely experienced in that capacity. So we want to welcome her and thank her for being here. Also tonight, I believe Councilman Fardo is still in the back, as well as other city and CRA staff members. Introduce Mary McKinney, Director of Community Development. Behind me, Tony Brown, the Executive Director of the CRA. Also behind me, Scott Evans, Director of Planning. And with Live Work Play, who will be giving the first presentation tonight is Richard Marks. The format that we're looking to do tonight would be Richard to present, followed by a short presentation by Mr. Brown. Then we'd have opportunity for public comments and board comments to follow. To just provide a brief background of the plan itself, the plan was initially presented during joining the City Council and CRA Board workshop on January 30th. I know that multiple members were able to attend, planning zoning board members were able to attend, so some information may seem repetitive. The presentation from that night has been, I guess, slightly shortened for this presentation, but the main core information is still there. Overall, staff recommends approval of this document, and we're asking that the board makes a motion to recommend approval to City Council tonight. As each element and or project phase is completed, it will be brought through city staff review process, back in front of Planning and Zoning Board for review, and finally approved to City Council. So approving the conceptual master plan is just really approving the overall goals that we're looking to achieve, and then each element or phase will come back before the board. So at this point, I would like to have introduce Mr. Marks.
Madam Chair, while he's coming forward, let the record reflect our colleague, Ms. Brooks, has joined us.
Members of the board, thank you for your time this evening. As Jeff mentioned, I know that most of you are probably rather familiar with a lot of the material that we're going to go through this evening, either having been to the presentation on the 30th or having reviewed the documents or subsequently watched it on television. But just wanted to run you through it all as well. I'm probably going to move a little bit more quickly than I did on the 30th, with the assumption that you've had some time with the material since then. And we'll, of course, be able to answer any and all questions at the end as well. I think this is a process. Just to introduce myself, I haven't met a number of you before. My name is Richard remarks. I'm with a firm called Live, Work, Learn, and Play, and we are working with Viking. They asked us to come and take a look at this project about a year and a half ago. We have a particular expertise, and our firm is focused entirely on the planning, development, and leasing of large-scale mixed-use redevelopment projects, traditionally in urban centers. And so this is exactly the kind of project that we do as an organization. This is the only thing that we do as a company. So that was a large reason why Viking looked to reach out to us once they were really interested in looking at a new way forward for this project under new market conditions and under as things stand today. As mentioned, it's been about a year and a half since we first got involved. And I think that really speaks to the amount of time and attention that has been spent over the past year and a half, speaking to the local community, speaking to local elected officials, other public leaders, regional stakeholders, and really getting a good understanding of how this project positions itself within the regional market and the existing financial and economic market conditions of today. And so what you're about to see, truly, I think, for the first time in the city's history of this project, is a plan that really comes from a perspective that's been informed and approved by the private sector, which we represent along with Viking, as well as the public entities and stakeholders and community members that we've been working with along the way. So I think that's an important starting point as the foundation to where this plan comes from. We've had a lot of touch points over the last year and a half as the plan has evolved to get us where we are today. We really feel that we've done a very good job of addressing all of the concerns and considerations that we've been asked to throughout the planning process to come up with what we're going to be presenting. The key goals that really have outlined our approach to this plan, both physically and experientially, are how we maximize connections to the waterfront, how we really create an authentic community gathering place for Riviera Beach, but in addition, really turn this into a regional mixed-use destination, because for this project to be successful and to have the impact that we believe that it can have on the community, it needs to be both locally relevant as well as regionally relevant, because in turning it into that destination for the broader region is what is going to help bring many of the experiential and economic benefits to the local community here. There are a number of public investments that are going to be made into this project, and we're very cognizant and appreciative of them. And the plan has been designed to make sure that all of those public dollars are truly being leveraged to create private development opportunity and private development for us, because those two things need to go hand in hand. We really believe that this project, beyond being successful in its own right, can become an engine of revitalization for the broader city of Riviera Beach, and that is very much our goal. And we believe that as a function of that, it's also going to help revitalize the Broadway corridor, which is an important gateway and an important experience of how people currently pass through Riviera Beach. And we believe that this project is the starting point for truly turning the Broadway corridor into an important regional corridor. One thing that is very evident to us is that this is an area that already has a great number of strengths in and around the project. There's large private industry, there's recreational activity, there's important shipping and trade and other business and industry that happens in and around the project. And this is really at the center of it all. And a lot of these things have informed how we've thought about the positioning of the project and the way that we feel that this can become the center and the nexus of bringing a lot of these pieces together that currently exist a little bit sporadically in and around the city to truly be centralized, and this project can be a hub for all of those things. We talk about guiding principles. What these really represent for us are what are some of the foundational ideas that have really informed how we think about the development vision and development program. And they're important because they're a litmus test for us as we look back on the plan and really make sure that the components that we want to be articulated in the plan have specific development representation in the plan that we're going to be speaking about. We've heard from day one that for this project to be both successful and embraced by the local community, it needs to be a place that celebrates community gathering. And I think you'll find that we've established public spaces and the opportunities, and there's going to be a programming support to ensure that this really is a place the Riviera Beach community feels welcome and has public spaces that celebrate its character. We have also been told the day we arrived that the Riviera Beach Marina is a marina first, and that's a huge point of its connection for community and for people. It is also one of the things that draws people to places as a destination. And so this is everything from kiosks and restaurants down by the waterfront to the public market, culinary programs, and other business opportunities that are going to come as a function of some of the culinary and food experiences that are going to form a part of this project. This is going to be one of the major attractions that we feel is going to make this project different, having a diversity of unique and differentiated food experiences that is really unparalleled in the region. Riviera Beach Marina is already, and this region is already a destination for waterfront recreation, for diving, for fishing, for other kinds of waterfront excursions. And we believe that this project can really become a platform to enhance and expand the appeal and the visitorship that can be generated from these users and from these vendors that already exist in the marina. And we pay special attention to making sure that they have a place where they can thrive. And we also understand that if this project were only to become a place where you could have a nice meal down by the water, or maybe rent a jet ski, that it wouldn't have done its full service to the community. And we truly believe that the longer-term potential of this project is to become an employment center with small and large business opportunities, and to have the ability to attract larger private industry and education to make sure that this is going to become a whole place that can truly have a catalytic impact on the broader city of Riviera Beach. And the project is structured to allow us to do that over time. So we're now going to walk you through the revised plan itself. One thing that dates back to the original strategic report that the work firm developed at the end of 2011, beginning of 2012, was understanding that this is a project that needs to be broken down into smaller parts in order to help inform what goes where and how you position different elements of it. And one of the first distinctions that we made that we really felt was an important paradigm to set was that this is a project that really has two front doors. It's a project where people are going to be arriving to a large extent by the water from boats, and it's also a project where people are going to be arriving in the mainland and largely via the Broadway corridor. And that those two sides of the project need to be thought about and treated very differently. And you're going to see in our development programming and how we've broken down the phasing of the development, we've truly thought about it that way. There's a real opportunity to turn the Riviera Beach waterfront into an intimate and eclectic food and entertainment destination, connect people with the water, give them the opportunity to enjoy it. The Broadway corridor is a large regional thoroughfare, high visibility, high traffic. There are some great opportunities that relate to that kind of visibility and traffic that are larger scale in terms of institutional and private sector development, and we program the project that way over time. But again, these are two parts of the project, near the water and near Broadway. They're going to have two very different characters. Those two different characters are both very appropriate and symbiotic in how they are going to relate to achieving the potential of the development. The Marina District Master Plan, these are just the overviews. I'm not going to spend too much time on these slides because we're going to break down different pieces of the plan in much greater detail. The concept of sub-districts, again, takes the idea that I just spoke about in terms of breaking down the plan into smaller pieces, and it articulates it in even finer grain detail. The concept of sub-districts really has a few different purposes. One, it allows us to understand the plan on a more fine-grained level. What are the types of uses and experiences that are appropriate and should happen in different areas of the plan, so people know what to expect and how we develop them over time. It also allows us, as we move into the implementation phase of the project, to have a clearer idea from a development standpoint how we market the project. And it allows us to know that as business opportunities and development opportunities arise and interest grows in the project over time, it gives us a framework to understand what kinds of uses go where. Because it will become very obvious that certain kinds of businesses and certain kinds of development will be appropriate in certain sub-districts of the plan, will not be appropriate given the vision that we've articulated for the greater whole of the overall plan. This will make more sense as we walk through each of these individually. The first sub-district we're going to talk about is New Kapalua by Centennial Park, which is the area surrounding by Centennial Park. We're going to get into each of these ideas in greater detail. But this is largely the neighborhood that surrounds the park, and as you'll see, and we'll talk about in greater detail, New Kapalua has a very prominent place here on the southern end of Bicentennial Park, overlooking the waterfront and interacting with the park. We spent a lot of time talking about the programming and location of Newcomb Hall. It's been thought about from a servicing standpoint and traffic standpoint, so it has a lot of convenient parking, short-term drop-off areas, ability to interact with the park, connected directly to the waterfront plaza and the waterfront. We've thought about it architecturally in terms of being very accessible, very old Florida, not a very high design type of facility, but a very tasteful and reflection of the overall character of this place that we're trying to articulate. The programming of this building has really been thought through beyond its existing vocation as a meeting hall, which is obviously going to continue to be a very important part of its future. We feel that this investment has the ability to truly turn this facility into a broader facility that serves multiple functions for the district over time. It's going to have a visitor center so that people who come to the district can check in and get information about where to go, activities, what to do. The central area of the lobby is going to have space for a historical gallery or exhibit space, so it can truly articulate and reflect the Riviera Beach community. It's going to have a diversity of meeting spaces. It'll be able to accommodate up to 400 people, very similarly to the existing meeting space at Newcomb Hall today, as well as smaller spaces that can double as classroom spaces, perhaps for the community voting program or other types of community meetings. So it's really going to serve multiple functions. And given that it's also an important part of the district, we've certain sections of Newcomb Hall that line the retail and entertainment component. We've segmented to have some cafe or restaurant space and perhaps even some small retail spaces. It's very important that these corners of the building that really interact with the waterfront and the rest of the district are activated at the ground level. This is a view of what Newcomb Hall might look like. This is 13th Street arriving at Avenue C. So it really is an important civic building that will create a true sense of revival to the project. Bicentennial Park, again, has been thought about as serving a diversity of functions. A few of the big ideas as we thought about how we program and turn this into a really diverse and important public green space for the project. One was that it has a waterfront that today is very underutilized, but it is a beachfront and has that potential to be. So an important part of the park plan is to actually stretch the beach back and expand it, so this can truly become an active and usable beachfront for people, very closely connected to the waterfront village and entertainment. I think that's going to be a very important attraction. This area, which we're calling the lawn, is the larger open green space. That will be the setting for larger scale events and gatherings over time. There's a stage being shown here, an amphitheater. There's a variety of other places in the park where a performance stage can be positioned, which will allow to accommodate a diversity in sizes of different events over time, as opposed to a permanent amphitheater that's just in one place. There's more flexibility with the same functionality. This is the extension of 15th Street, which will connect through the park right down to the waterfront. This area that we're calling the Grove is a more shaded, quieter area for picnic tables, perhaps children's play areas. So it really gives you, again, three very, very different places that serve different functions: community gathering events, the beach and interactive waterfront, and a quieter place with seating and shading as well. So the park really serves a few different purposes and can appeal to a diversity of different users that are going to want to use it at different times of the day and year. And this is a view, just to orient you, if you were between the new teepee and Newcomb Hall looking towards the park, that's what you're going to see in this view here. This being Newcomb Hall, the second story, which is the porch. That's the main meeting hall overlooking the waterfront. And this would be the new teepee restaurant. Boardwalk and Promenade is the area that we're discussing, which is the primary waterfront area. There's a few things that are important to understand about how we design the waterfront. One is, this is an extension of 13th Street. We programmed a very iconic 360-degree restaurant right at the end as a visual terminus for the project to invite people in. With the new teepee, and again, this is Bicentennial in Newcomb, to orient you again. This is the waterfront plaza that's framed by these two anchor restaurants. There's a series of smaller kiosks and food vendor opportunities, and this was really important for us, so we have a diversity of investment levels built into the plan. There are going to be larger restaurants that are going to require a larger financial investment for a business operator to be able to do. having smaller vendors along the waterfront will open up business opportunities to people who don't necessarily have the financial means to open up a large restaurant like this. So we'll have diversity of operators who will have opportunities in and around the waterfront. We've made sure, it was really important to us as we looked at this, given that the waterfront is such an important part of this project and a huge attraction, we really wanted to maximize the waterfront and make as many parts of this project feel like they had a piece of the waterfront and were connected to it. So the waterfront here is deliberately very porous. There's a lot of areas where it really stretches back, such that this is your boardwalk right along the water, and the promenade, which is this area one layer back. These buildings will very much feel like they're on the water as well, because they will have direct visibility and viewpoints and connections to the water. So you really feel like the waterfront has been stretched back, and as we move further backward into some of the other lands of the project, you'll see that this line of sight is going to be very important as well, because we really created a connection where you'll be able to see the waterfront even from all the way back just west of Avenue C. And that drives value to all the different parts of the project. So this is just, again, some conceptual imagery and an idea of how this stages up. That you're on the marina, your floating docks, and it steps up some dining areas, this first layer of waterfront restaurants, and then a promenade area, and then that second layer. This is an aerial overview of what that would look like. Again, we'll talk about this area in greater detail, but you can see very clearly how we're going to have very strong visibility and connections to the waterfront from a lot of different parts of the project, which again is going to make a lot of these different parts feel like they're connected to the water. And that was a very important part of our thinking and design. The market court is this area right in the center of the project. Just to orient you again, this is Newcomb Hall and Bicentennial Park, so this is 13th Street. This is 12th Street, and the waterfront is right here. Now, the genesis of this core area of the project was this idea that the Palm Beach County Public Market, which is going to be developed over time in this project, we really felt was an important anchor. We really wanted to position it in a place where it could have the most impact on the creation of this waterfront village concept that we've articulated. So in putting the public market here just west of Avenue C, it provides a very strong western anchor that will really drive value and traffic into the creation of this core of the waterfront village that we're talking about. This is a central courtyard area, again a different and smaller, more intimate public space in the project. It will again be lined with restaurants and shops. And again, we really created an open area where the market will really have a direct line right through to the waterfront. The market building is important for a few reasons. The ground floor of it is going to be Palm Beach County's public market, food vendors, art vendors, food purveyors, produce, a whole lot of diversity of different things that are being germinated today in the Riviera Beach market at the marina that's already been started. The upper story of this building has been programmed as future arts and community space, and the CRA is currently working with a consultant group by the name of Lord Cultural Resources. They're an international expert in the development and programming and business planning and funding of cultural institutions for communities. And so they're going to help the city and the CRA articulate what type of institution is most appropriate for Riviera Beach. And that facility and their space within the public market building as a setting for that program once it is developed, defined, and the business plan is articulated forward over time. And they're currently working on that. So again, just some conceptual imagery of the market. This is a view to orient you again. If you were standing in the market plaza, looking south towards the waterfront, that is what this rendering represents. Marine Way. This just gives you a broader overall view of the project. We're going to be talking about this area down in the south. And this is important just to understand that, again, we understand this is a project that has a variety of purposes to serve and a variety of end users that it needs to accommodate. And it's a great thing because the more things you have going on with the project, the better it's ultimately going to be. But you need to make sure that they each are taken care of in different ways. So given that this area of the project is largely going to be the food and retail and entertainment hub of the project, there's another important part that we talked about at the beginning, which are the marine services and the waterfront recreational operators who need to operate out of the marina as well. needs and different access needs than people who are coming to eat at a restaurant or shop at a shop. And so the southern end of this project has really been designed as the location for those uses. The idea being that 12th Street would really become the central artery for the marina and waterfront recreational services. So this neighborhood serves a few different purposes. One, the south building, which is really right along the border of Cracker Boy, which is right here, is where we're going to centralize some of the marina's operational needs, some of the other services, storage and garbage and things like that that need to help the project function over time. And with the advent of Riviera moving into its new facility just north of Viking over here, and we having spoken to and talked to a number of businesses and people who work in the marine industry in and around the county, we felt that there's an opportunity to bring some of those businesses into the marina. And so one of the visions for some of the space within this building as well is some very simple workshop or industrial space where local subcontractors who work for Riviera or Viking or other people in the marine industry could have either satellite offices or workspace. So you could have some of those services and vendors actually operate businesses in and around the waterfront. And those types of uses, again, given what would happen in this building, are very appropriate to be next to something like Cracker Boy, which really has more of an industrial character, and you want to make sure that you can buffer the central part of the project from some of that character. So this is a facility and a type of development use that really works in that position. In terms of this building that's lining 12th Street at the waterfront, it's going to have a variety of purposes. The ground floor retail is largely going to be focused around marine-related retail, so this is where your dive shop, your fishing shop, your boat store, any types of retail uses that are related to and support the waterfront recreational vendors. That's really going to be the character of 12th Street. And then on the upper floors of this building, we programmed a small extended stay or apartment hotel. Something akin to a newer version of the Yachtsman that exists today, where divers could stay before they go out in the morning, some business visitors that need to perhaps visit Lockheed or over time. Again, just a small facility to have beds who could service some of those users that would want to stay in the marina in a more simple environment. And just some idea of some of the activities and character of what's there. The rendering we're going to show you, again, is if you were on the boardwalk in Marine Way looking north towards the rest of the project. That is what this visual represents. One of the things, sorry, that I just wanted to show you, which is important, 12th Street, because a lot of the recreational vendors have very important access and servicing needs. I know that people need to, they go diving in the morning, you need to be able to drop off your tanks, there's a lot of gear, you need to be able to really get right on the waterfront to get on the boats. That there's very convenient short-term parking right here along the waterfront, and an easy access and turnaround that allows people to drive in and out of the project and get to the waterfront very conveniently. So that's what we thought about. We've had a number of meetings with the recreational operators who currently operate businesses at the marina to really understand what their needs are and make sure that those are incorporated into how we set up the plan. The 13th Street Gateway is the area right at the entrance to the project. So this is 13th Street, and this is Broadway. This is really your entrance to the project. It welcomes people in. Again, this is the public market to orient you, 13th Street down to the waterfront and Newcomb Hall. So we can't tell you exactly what the uses are going to be in these buildings over time, but we do know that these are very strong opportunities given the visibility along Broadway and their anchor potential at the gateway to the district. These could be anchor retailers who might want to be right at the center of the project, or these could be potentially businesses or other commercial uses or anchors that might want to anchor the entrance of the project at the time. This building right here, which is marked number 7, is the future larger scale hotel. It's along 14th Street, which allows it to have its own access and turnaround and drop off so that traffic won't clog the central circulation within the project itself. The hotel is located with great visibility along Broadway, which is very important for any hotelier that's going to operate in this area. And it also has been thought about in terms of its proximity both to Bicentennial Park as well as Newcomb Hall, because we feel that some of the meeting facilities that are available in Newcomb Hall will give the hotel a stronger ability to program business visitation and conferences and events. And so that synergy and that proximity was an important part of our thinking as well. So so it marries a number of different things in terms of how they're located at. Spanish courts obviously has been a topic of large discussion in quite some time, and we spent a great deal of time and focus in figuring out what we feel the best development and use for Spanish courts would be over time. One of the things that was very evident to us is there is a real opportunity for this community over time to deliver better healthcare and medical services to the community. A lot of the research that we've done has shown us that there's a huge number, more than 1 in 5 people in Palm Beach County are uninsured. That rises to over a third of the African American community. There's a shortage of licensed physicians in the county, which is also important. And the Riviera District is actually in a federally designated medically underserved area. So with the passage of the Affordable Care Act opening up funding sources and the availability of healthcare services to underserved populations, we really feel that there's going to be an opportunity to develop a healthcare facility at Riviera Beach over time to serve both the local community as well as the broader region. And that this was a strong opportunity to turn the Spanish courts into an institution of, again, community significance with a different vocation. And the design of Spanish courts, and the way that we've looked at it, is we've saved the central courtyard space and the central tree, which is going to become a residential courtyard for senior housing or assisted living development. And we feel will be an important part of this project over time. And a healthcare facility, we're going to look to attract an association with the city and CRA over time to really turn this into a health and wellness and lifestyle-oriented community. It has associated housing for seniors, connected to the healthcare services they will provide, as well as the lifestyle amenities that will be available within the district. Again, there's just some of the images of what that looks like. This is what an activated courtyard with some scale of residential around it could look like. The Education and Innovation Campus was born out of the idea that we've seen all over the county that there are plenty of examples of educational institutions of higher education partnering with industry to develop programs that service workforce needs and help to deliver the types of training and skill sets that are needed by the private industry in the area. And we think there will be an opportunity to do that here over time. Alternatively, if larger businesses within that sphere, either the marine industry or other knowledge-based industries, we feel that once the project begins to develop and becomes a place that people want to live near and work near, there may be opportunities for private industry to open up other larger scale offices of the project. And so this section of the plan has really been designed in that vein, where there's an opportunity for either an educational institution or a private industry office development to occur here. And there can be associated housing for that institution. If it's an educational institution, these could become student housing. If this is an office institution, this could become workforce housing. Again, an interesting residential community, close proximity to either educational or their employment, and then very close proximity to Bicentennial Park, again, which creates a very strong lifestyle condition for any future residential development. The 13th and Broadway campus deals with this parcel of land controlled just across Broadway, just west of Broadway. Again, this is 13th Street. This is Broadway. And we're dealing with this parcel. Again, this is at a very important critical corner, right at the center and entrance to the project. There's a number of things that could happen on this parcel of land over time. Again, if there are other major industries or private businesses that are looking for a new office or a really central location with great access and visibility next to this project that we'll be developing, this is a great location. I think either alternatively or in conjunction with that, we feel there's an opportunity for a major anchor retailer, again, to locate on this location. Given its proximity and visibility from Broadway, that could be a very attractive location to put a large user whose size might make them inappropriate to be in the center of the village, where it might affect the character of what we're trying to create on the waterfront. But this would be a great location where they're close to the rest of the project, but without necessarily impacting the kind of character that we're trying to create closer to the waterfront. Parking and servicing and phasing, as we'll get into, are always some of the less glorious components of the project, but they're important infrastructure in terms of how a project works. They're the things you hope people never think about because they just work properly. We spent a lot of time thinking about how to phase the project and then ultimately how to service it throughout that process. The general phasing that we're going to walk you through relates to the idea that if Newcomb Hall and Bicentennial Park are the first key public investments that are going to be made, those will become associated with and generate the private development of restaurants and entertainment that will happen right along the water's edge. That's the lowest hanging fruit. We think that's where the greatest opportunity is for development today. The way the second phase of the project would work, as we discussed, is that once the public market is committed to and will get developed just west of Avenue C, that would become the western anchor that would allow us to fill in the central part of the waterfront village of the market core area, really making this core area around the waterfront the front phases of the development. The idea is that if we can have success, and once we have success creating a great experience here along the water, it will become an attractive place for businesses to locate, for people to want to live, and that will help us generate some of the larger scale, longer term institutional and private development that we expect to happen in and along the Broadway corridor. So that's the general rationale of the phasing plan of the project, really from the water stretching back to Broadway. Phase one, again, as we talked about, Newcomb Hall, Bicentennial Park, and the waterfront. What we're showing here is that many of the development parcels that will not get developed in phase one can be used as surface parking during the first phases. This layout that you're seeing shows over 800 spaces of surface parking, which is more than adequate to service the parking needs of this first phase of the development. We've been working closely with Walker Parking, which is a consultant that was hired by the CRA to work with us on the plan to help us understand the parking demands and needs and to ensure that the plan meets them both over the long term as well as phased out through the different sections of the project. So that would be phase one. The second phase of the project is when we would bring on the public parking garage, again located here, just west of Avenue C. Its location was important for a few different reasons. Number one, it was important to us, and I think we can all agree, that the lands that are connected to the waterfront are the most valuable lands for the project and have the greatest potential to create experience that people are going to want to gravitate towards. And so we wanted to make sure that we didn't eat up important land right near the water with something like a parking garage. So we wanted to put it as close to there as we could while not eating up what we feel is our most attractive land for private development. So it's just west of Avenue C. Very similarly to the rationale that we talked about for some of the marine industry businesses and services located here, putting the parking garage right next to Cracker Boy provides a buffer from Cracker Boy to the rest of the project. Again, it's a use that works very well next to an industrial boatyard, and it helps us to basically block that from the rest of the project and what we're trying to create here. It's very located with very close convenience and proximity to the port, which we understand are going to have some shared parking demands. It provides a southern anchor to the project because a lot of the activity at the front end of the project is going to be in Bicentennial Park and Newcomb Hall on the waterfront. Creating a traffic generator here is going to help drive people through the south end of the project because you really want to make sure that you have people coming from all sides, which is important for flow throughout the project. And it also will help to activate Avenue C as an important cross spine that runs through the center of the project by pushing traffic in and around and in onto the street. It's also very closely located relative to the public market, which is going to have its own significant parking demands. So this is a location that really serves multiple purposes in terms of how we were thinking about where we put it. So again, this is phase two. When the parking garage comes on, we would still have some additional surface parking in order to service the parking demands in the district. And then once we get into the full phasing diagram, what's important to understand is that there are a series of garages that are planned for the project, but each of these future garages will be associated with a major piece of development. So if and when the hotel gets built in the project, there will likely need to be a garage that gets associated with the hotel and would likely have some parking needs to service some of the residential community as well. But you wouldn't build that garage until you had commitment of the development of the hotel. When you want to build your healthcare campus over here, you would likely have to build, again, another garage, but you wouldn't build that unless it was associated with a commitment to build your healthcare institution and some of the private residential development associated with it. Very similarly with the Education and Innovation Campus, the garage would be associated with the anchor deal or anchor development, the same with development across the street. Parking is expensive, and it's important that it be directly associated with an important private development and other anchor for the project. In terms of servicing for the project, we've been thinking about a number of different things in terms of drop-offs. You'll see some key drop-off areas right along the waterfront. right next to Bicentennial Park at the beach, as well as right at the front door of Newcomb Hall, and one that we talked about down here in the south end of the project for the marina recreational vendors. Those are important. There's a series of public bathrooms that, again, have been put, one in the park, one in Newcomb Hall, one in the public market, and one in the marina operations facility. So there's going to be bathroom facilities out of sight but conveniently located in a variety of different areas of the project for people to access. And the circulation has really been thought about in terms of how people get in, circulate around, and get to the parking facilities. This is a slide that just really articulates one of the overarching concepts that we were trying to build into the plan, which is the idea that we've truly tried to use some of the key public investments that we know are going to become part of the project, and that's Bicentennial Park, Newcomb Hall, public market, public garage, and the marine operations and services, and really use those to almost create a ring of traffic generation to energize the center of what we believe is going to be the most important early phase of the project in terms of creating this really intimate and special waterfront village. And that if we can do that successfully, the energy and the development success that's created in this core of the project is really going to resonate out, as we talked about, to create the additional more institutional development and anchor development along Broadway, and then over time cross over Broadway and hopefully spill into and help redevelop some of the neighborhoods and areas along Avenue E and elsewhere within Riviera Beach community. So that's generally the thinking about how the project phases and moves over time. And that is largely a walkthrough of the plan. I think I don't need to tell anybody on this board how long the community has waited to see some activity and see some progress on this. We feel very confident that this is a plan that is market associated, that has the collaboration and consensus of the public and private sectors, and we're ready to move forward on it. So I thank you for your time and attention, and we can answer any questions.
Good evening, I'm Tony Brown. I'm the Executive Director of the Riviera Beach CRA, and I guess I should say Happy Valentine's Day. We told Richard when he flew in today from Montreal that we figured you all would want to go and spend Valentine's Day with your loved ones. And so we actually would take about 15 minutes because we knew we had briefed you and you have been watching what we do. But Richard said since he's coming in from Montreal that we were his Valentine, so he was going to spend time with us. Thank you for your attention. We're anxious to get into the questions that you all have. As I've shared to members of this board, that it is time that the CRA, that we're shifting our accountability to this body, to planning and zoning, because we are clearly at the stage where we're moving from plans and visions to the point where we are ready to execute. And when it's time to execute, this is where you have the overall responsibility to ensure that we're moving forward with the plan, with actions that meet the comp plan, with actions that are consistent to the CRA plan, with actions that are consistent to the land regulation plan. So this big vision will be broken up into steps, and the steps that will allow you to do what you are chartered to do to ensure that we're accountable to the interests of our neighbors and that we're accountable to the interests of our public at large. There are basically three questions that I just want to address up front. The first question that you probably have and that we know our public has had is why another plan? And is this another pretty plan that will sit on the shelf? And the answer to that question is no, this is not another pretty plan that will sit on the shelf. And we needed to bring forward a revised conceptual master plan because the one that was previously approved was the one that somewhat divided our community. It made for an accommodation of expanding our working waterfront, where half supported and half didn't. It brought issues to light where our public was concerned as to whether or not we were leading with public access, issues related to whether or not there was an impact to Bicentennial Park, whether there was an adverse impact to Newcomb Hall. And so what we're saying that what this plan does, it leads with public access. As Richard has shared, that this plan is centered on reality. It is supported by market research, and it implements the vision of our citizens from the citizen charrette, and it leads, as I mentioned, with public access. The second question that you probably have is, is this plan going to generate private investment? Is it going to expand our tax base, and will it create jobs? And the answer to that is yes. That clearly we could lead, and as you know, the redevelopment agency, your agency, borrowed the money to make the public investments. It was Viking who said, look, we are vested. We believed in this city in 2008, and we bought over $35, $50 million worth of real estate. We believe in this city now, that the market conditions have caused us to regroup, but we believe in the city, we believe in the vision, that they have taken on the responsibility to revise the conceptual master plan to the point of what you see today. They recruited Richard, Live, Work, Learn, and Play, as initially their advisor and their real estate partner, and that Live, Work, Learn, and Play brought in nationally renowned land planning firm, Elkins Manfredi. And so what you see is a collaboration between the city, the CRA, and our private developer in a plan that will take, if we build out everything from the water to Broadway, we're talking about public investment of about $30 million. If you consider the land that Viking has already invested and the programmatic summary that Elkins has planned, that $30 million of public money will result in $300 million worth of private development. So this plan leverages the public investment, and it indeed sparked private investment. The plan will create over 1,100 construction jobs, over 2,500 permanent jobs, and just in the first 3 phases, we've identified 100 entrepreneur opportunities. So it's not about Viking. It's about creating opportunity for small businesses. It's about connecting our waterfront to our public and leveraging our location for the best interest of our city and our residents. The third question you likely have is, okay, with all of that, when does construction start? And this is sort of where we are in the process. It was important for the private developer in believing in our city and in believing in the investments that they made, that they had to first update and revise the conceptual master plan, the vision. And this is what's being presented. We are asking for your support and your endorsement. With your endorsement, it'll be part of the report that the city and the CRA will prepare, and we'll ask City Council we'll ask members of City Council on February 27th to approve the plan, and then they'll adjourn as board, as members of the CRA board, to do likewise. I think you can tell by the fact that there are very little public that we've presented a plan that we feel is a shared vision. Clearly, you will have comments. There's some things that we can refine, but that this is a plan that we believe is supported by our community in general, and one in which we're ready to lead on. After the approval of the conceptual master plan, the ball now shifts back into the court of the city and the CRA. We then take on the responsibility to come back before you and to get your approval through the site plan approval process. We are prepared to start with the infrastructure investments to get this site shovel ready for private investments. We are prepared to make the improvements to Bicentennial Park. We are prepared. We have the money in the bank to rebuild the new Newcomb Hall. We have the money in the bank to bring the infrastructure or the elevation to FEMA guidelines. We are prepared. We are ready to get started, and you will have oversight every step of the way. The architect and engineering firm has been selected. Also on the 27th is we're planning to, if we conclude negotiations on the contract, we will have the architectural and engineering firm that will do the details of the site plan, the construction drawings, to get us to construction. And then also, presently, as part of an open qualification bid, we're presently soliciting for the qualifications of the construction manager so they can start with the construction of the public elements. So this isn't just another pretty plan. This isn't another vision of what we can be. This is where we think that we've listened, where we are, and with your support and the subsequent support of council and the CRA board, we are ready to spring into action. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there public comment cards from anyone? Thank you. Board comments, Mr. Wiggum?
Yes, first of all, I would like to thank the CRA and our staff from Planning and Zoning for getting this to us in time for us to review this before our meeting. I want this board to know this is something that we've been trying to do in the city of Riviera Beach for the past years. I've been on this board since '99. I have seen a lot of this come before us, and a lot of it failed. I have papers stacked up to here of all these drawings and what we're going to do. But I must say now, this is the best one that I have seen, because it is now answering my questions. I mentioned to one of the CIA staff members before I looked at this, will there be restaurant facilities in there so that if people come from out of town to visit me, I can take them there and have lunch, dinner, or whatever? Because I'm tired of taking them to City Place. I'm tired of taking them to Palm Beach Garden. I'm tired of taking them to Jupiter. We have no place in Riviera right now but one or two little places to take our people to eat. Right now, we have no outstanding hotel facilities for our company that comes from out of town and want to visit us. We have to take them over to Palm Beach Garden or hotel or West Palm Beach. What I'm speaking about now is in here. Some of our buildings over there like Spanish Court. When I pass down that street, I almost want to turn my head because I see it decaying. But now, they're talking about something that I've been asking for the past year. Somewhere to put our senior citizens in Riviera Beach and help take care of them. I thought that was beautiful. When I left the CAR meeting last week, my chest stood out. Because I believe in that phrase right there, the time is now. If we get this going and get it started, can you imagine how that's going to put Riviera Beach on the map? Developers and everybody is going to come in here. At one time, back in 2002, we were talking about taking Broadway and what we're going to do to it, take Avenue E and put commercial development in. None of that happened. You had developers coming from South Florida buying up all this land around there because they thought nothing was going to be developed. They really did. I thought 5 years ago I would be able to go to Macy's on Broadway, Sears Roebuck on Broadway, into the Macy's store. I thought I'd be able to go eat at the Shoney's over there or someplace. I'm not trying to downgrade the restaurant facilities that we got now, but I'm talking about something that people really love. All of us love McDonald's and Burger King, but we also want a nice dinner somewhere too. We also want to have somewhere that we can spend the weekend. Some of you have wives right now. It's Valentine's Day. You had a nice hotel over there by the beach. You can take your wife over there, stay in that hotel, walk that beach 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. You think about those things. The time is now. I'm not going to ask any questions. I had some written down here, but I'm not going to waste time going over. I like what I'm looking at. And board, let's get started and get it going. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Ms. Brooks?
Thank you. I agree with Mr. Wiggum 100%. I think it's time for us to move on. We've been trying to do this for years. We have to start someplace. We may not get everything we want, but we're going to get something, and I think it's a great idea. I'm ready to go and eat at that restaurant and walk down that boardwalk. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. McCoy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do concur, and I think staff, CRA staff, as well as Richard, very good job, as well as our staff with the presentation, and I like it. I very much like it, and I think this is a great opportunity, at least for not only the city of Riviera Beach, but the community, to be able to get in that position to have new development here in the city. And as far as I can remember, it's pretty much been the same. And there's always been talks and proposals. So, I'm not going to delay the time. I think, at least for me, I'm satisfied. And this is the conceptual plan. And I'm really interested to see how we can get this process moving and, improve the city. And I think what our motto is, the best waterfront city in which to live, work, and play. And this is evident of it. If we can get this project going, this would be great, and we can really see the progress that's needed in the city as well as this community. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Canuti?
I guess I echo everything everyone else said. I've been on this board a couple of different times for a very long time, and we have seen a lot of plans. I think the fact that now we have the money to get started is a big issue and a big positive. So I support the plan 100%. I'd like to see us get going sooner rather than later, as fast as possible. I just had a couple of questions, and you may or may not be able to answer it. Are there any other private developers besides Viking that are currently involved? I don't know if that's a...
Not at this time.
Not at this time? Okay.
Not yet.
Okay, no, understood. So, and I am sure you're talking to some that you just can't say. So, at one of the presentations early on, Live, Work, Learn, and Play mentioned the fact that they may become an equity participant in the overall project. I was just wondering if that's still a plan or if that's anything that's happening or going to happen.
Yes, it is very much our intention to work with and partner with Viking on the development and implement.
Okay, great. That's good news. I was down at the marina the other day and just walking around, and a thought occurred to me, and this is more in the way of a suggestion than anything else. There's over a dozen different small businesses there, from sport fishing to the pirate ship to jet ski rentals and everything else. And as I looked at the plan, I thought that something like the auto mall concept with these vendors really makes a lot of sense. You go looking for a Ford and you buy a Toyota because they're across the street. But you rent a jet ski and then you see that you can go out on a pirate ship the next day, and then you see you can go sport fishing, and you can walk in, get pricing, schedules, and everything else. So I think it'll generate a lot of synergistic traffic. Somebody just going down to Tiki for lunch may not know they have all these, other activities that they could get involved in. And the second suggestion is, as I look at the plan, we're going to have a lot of restaurants. We really need to address the adequate temporary dockage too, so that people can not only come in by car but by boat, so that there's adequate that. And we haven't mentioned it, and I don't want to put a damper on anything, but we really need to think in terms, as we go through this whole plan, of security. Whether it's planning to have a couple of small police substations on the properties, or adequate places where there's enough eyes around on the ground to do it. But I think it's something that we just really need to kind of keep in our focus on. So, but overall, I'm very supportive of the plan. I'm glad to see we're moving, and I think Tony, Live, Work, CRA, Live, Work, Learn, and Play, done a great job. That's all, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I concur with all those comments, and I'm so excited. I can't stand it. We're finally moving forward, and I think this will not only move our city forward, but it'll change its future in perpetuity, and also this north end of the county. So I'm glad that we're a major player in this event. So may I have a motion to approve the project as submitted?
Madam Chair, I'll gladly make a motion to recommend approval of this plan.
Second?
I second.
All in favor?
Third.
A third? Okay. Would you poll the board, would you poll the board, please?
Marie Davis,
Yes.
Frederick McCoy,
Yes.
Julius Wiggum,
Yes.
Edward Kennedy,
Yes.
Michelle Brooks.
Yes.
Anyone's voting, motion approved.
Great.
Thank you. Ms. Brooks?
I just want to say one thing, and I mentioned this to Mrs. Brown already. Someone who has grandchildren, I would love to see an aquarium there. Love to see
That'd be
that.
great.
And that's just me with grandchildren, so I know that's discussion, but I just wanted to mention it again.
Okay, there's no unfinished business. New business, none. General discussion, any public, Jeff?
I don't think we received any public comment cards tonight.
Okay. Upcoming
Just general
projects?
board comments, if there's any. If not, I could just have a really brief summation.
All right, any comments from the board?
Yes, Madam Chair. Before anybody leaves, I want to kind of reinforce and ask again. I see we have a council person in the back and community development director. We do come out every month, and we would like the participation of our community with those, I guess, the residents and the constituents here in Riviera Beach. I want to ask again, if it's at all possible, within the budget, to see if we can get our planning and zoning meetings aired on Channel 18.
You know, when we look at the budget this year, as we develop the budget, we'll see if the city is in a better position financially this year, which we're hoping we will be. But right now, city staff is still taking furlough days, hasn't had a raise for 5 years, so our budget is still pretty constrained. So we will look at it, but everything is still really very tight.
I certainly appreciate it. That's why we need that project going, so we can
No,
generate
you're
some
right
cash
about that.
revenue in this city. But thank you,
We do.
Ms. McKinney. Thank you.
Jeff?
Next planning zoning board meeting, March 14th. Anticipate potentially coming before the board, one new commercial development, which would be located on the corner of Avenue and Allen Boulevard. If those approvals go forward, saying it's probably moving forward. Also, we have received, I believe, 2 resumes for volunteers that are participating in the zoning board. Just ask for an item to go to city council. So we'll have more full planning zoning board in the very near future.
Would you be kind enough to send me a copy of their resumes?
We'll send it to the full board.
Okay, great.
We can't guarantee you that the council is going to approve them.
I understand. I understand. Now that we are finished with everything, Mr. Brown, when do you think you'll be getting started? What's the timeline? If everything goes the way it did tonight.
Theoretically, we've started the process to get to construction. So if you define it as getting the architect in place to start the construction drawings, we hope that will happen February 27th. If we're still negotiating on the contract, then we will certainly have it on the board agenda March 13th. Obviously, to get to construction, we have to come back before you and get the permits and the approval. So with the architectural and engineering firm, which is Song and Associates, which is, they responded to a competitive RFP, and we're just negotiating the contract. That should occur in the next 30 days. At the end of 30 days, the RFP for the construction manager will be due. We've outlined maybe as much as 60 days to negotiate that contract. So this summer, we will be in the design phase, the construction document phase, that we would start the construction on the Uplands property about this time next year. And we would anticipate probably an 18-month construction schedule for phase 1. And phase 1 is the entire site work, And it's our desire to do it all in one phase as opposed to doing it in two different phases. So we're talking about what the cost of doing that is. Phase 1 would also include the new improvements to Bicentennial Park, the new Newcomb Hall, and then shortly after that, hopefully all the restaurants on the boardwalk, not just the Tiki. But then the plan shows 2 additional relatively larger restaurants. So we anticipate all of that to be part of Phase 1. You'll probably see the permitting process in 2 different parts, the public part and then maybe the private part. And possibly we can do them all at the same time. But you will be invited to a groundbreaking for Phase 1 this time next year.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Yay. So excited. Home in time for dinner.
Go ahead, Mr. How you doing?
You can do that.